Welcome class 10, your history class, continuing with the Partition of Bengal. We will start with the programs and methods of the assertive nationalists. Their program and methods of struggle were revivalism. What is revivalism? Revivalism means reviving our past glories. Revivalism, they sought to build national movement on the basis of people's religious beliefs. Tilak revived the Shivaji festival of 1895. They presented Chandragupta, Vikramaditya, Rana Pratap and Shivaji as national heroes whose memory should be cherished. Then came Swadeshi. The Swadeshi idea was popularized by occasional bonfires of foreign clothes, salt and sugar. The blazing flames were greeted by shouts of Vande Mataram. Then comes boycott. Swadeshi and boycott go together. In fact, boycott meant far more than a mere boycott of British goods. It also included the boycott of government services, honors and titles. Besides, a man selling or buying foreign goods should be subjected to social boycotts. Any person who was selling or buying foreign goods, they were socially boycotted. National education. During the Swadeshi movement, many new education institutions were started. The contents of national education were as follows. Number 1, secular education. Number 2, religious and moral education. Number 3, political education. Number 4, vocational or industrial education. Religious education was aimed at building up a pupil's character, whereas political education meant carrying out one's civic and political responsibility. So these were the programs and methods of the struggle. Then a quick revision on outstanding leaders of assertive nationalism. 2 points, their 2 achievements are there in your syllabus, but we will revise all their achievements so that you can study any 2 out of your choice. And these outstanding leaders were Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Bipin Chandra Pal and Lalin Latsputhrai. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was born on July 23rd, 1856. He was the first real founder of anti-imperialist movement in India. Okay. Let us start off with his contribution. Tilak's contribution. Tilak's political beliefs. Swaraj is my birthright and I will have it. Tilak talked of Swaraj as early in 1896-97. He said, Swaraj is my birthright and I will have it. Swaraj and Swadeshi had become the battle cry of these robust nationalists. Now bitter attacks on government. Year after year, the Congress passed nearly the same resolution without making much effect on the government. Tilak therefore came to the conclusion that reforms would be secured not by talks but by action. His weeklies Maratha and Kesari made bitter attacks on the government. He said political rights will have to be fought for. That can only be done by strong pressure. Then comes Tilak's means employed to expose administration, to mobilize masses and to arouse nationalistic passion. Tilak adapted many methods to carry the agitation to the masses. In 1893, he started the celebration of Ganpati festival in Maharashtra. Satisfied with the success of the festival, he revived the Shivaji festival in 1895. The object was to instill, to put the seed in the mass, a spirit of discipline and patriotism. Tilak was also known for organizing akharas or places for wrestling and lathi clubs in Maharashtra to make the youths brave to stand against or defy the British Raj. In 1896, he led a no-rent campaign. He asked the cultivators not to pay land revenue because of famine conditions in the Deccan. Now comes his role in the anti-partition movement. The Partition of Bengal gave him a big opportunity to expose evil designs of the government. Leaders like Tilak, Bipin Chandra and Lalin Latsputhrai transformed the anti-partition movement into a movement for Swaraj. Then comes Home Rule movement. The year 1916 saw the establishment of Home Rule leagues in Madras and Maharashtra. Two leagues were led by Mrs. Besant, that's Annie Besant, and Tilak respectively. Together they launched the Home Rule movement, which infused the nation with new strength and vigor. Tilak's contribution made him a hero. That is why when he earned the title of Lokmanya Tilak. Lokmanya means respected by people. Now comes the important point that Bal Gangadhar Tilak was forerunner of Gandhi. That means, although Mahatma Gandhi regarded Gokhale as his political guru, his ideals were molded by Tilak in a big way. Gandhi laid a great stress on prohibition, Swadeshi and boycott. All these have been preached by and practiced by Tilak much before Gandhi did so. So Tilak was the forerunner of Gandhiji, and his political guru, Gandhiji's political guru, was Gopal Krishna Gokhale. So once a question came, who was the forerunner of Gandhi and why so? Now comes Bipin Chandra Pal. Bipin Chandra Pal was the prophet of a bold, self-reliant nationalism in India. He was born in Bangladesh, Sylhet in Bangladesh in 1858. His career began as headmaster of high school in Cuttack. Later he served as a headmaster in high school in Bangalore. In 1876, Bipin Chandra joined the Brahmo Samaj movement. What was his contribution? Number one, his role in awakening national consciousness in India. Bipin Chandra joined Congress in 1887. At the Chennai Congress in 1887, he made a forceful speech which pleaded that Arms Act should be repealed, means taken back. He participated in several sessions of the Congress. Number two, he was a great journalist and a marvelous orator. Orator means he could speak very well. He was able to give good speech. In an article he wrote that individuals are born, individuals die, but the nation liveth forever. Bipin Chandra was a marvelous orator. He roused the masses with his oratory. Then he played an active role in anti-partition and Swadeshi movement. During the anti-partition movement, he toured several parts of the country, and wherever he went, he carried with him a message of boycott and Swadeshi. In May 1907, he delivered in Chennai several speeches on Swaraj. Then Bipin Chandra made great sacrifices because of his robust nationalism. After the Surat session of the Congress, Bipin Chandra parted the company of the early nationalists, but he stood for stronger methods of agitation. Great hardships or suffering was the price that he had to pay, and he paid for freedom. Aurobindo Ghosh, the editor of Bonde Mataram, was charged with sedition. The government wanted Bipin Chandra's testimony in the case. Since he refused to give evidence, he was imprisoned for 6 months. Bipin Chandra was released on March 9, 1908. What was his idea of national education? The idea, he said, should arouse nationalistic passion against the foreign rule. It would become an effective instrument in social progress. Above all, it is the key which opens the great treasures of Indian philosophy and culture to Indians. Bipin Chandra became impatient with Gandhian methods because he did not support the non-cooperation movement launched by Gandhi in 1920. He was of the opinion that Indians should resort to sterner, stricter measures instead of launching movements like non-cooperation. Okay. Now, his publications, he was a great writer, include The Spirit of Indian Nationalism and The New Economic Menace of India. He wanted to eradicate poverty by developing a lot of industries in the country, to tax the rich more heavily than the poor, and the money should be available to be spent on education and health, and 48 hours of work in a week, and increase in wages, and the practice of Swadeshi and boycott. Now comes Lala Latsputhrai. Lalin Latsputhrai was one of the foremost leaders of modern India. He rose to be a national hero. He was a social reformer, a fearless fighter of Swaraj. His name would be remembered with great admiration. He was born on 28th of January in 1865 at Jagrao in Ludhiana district in Punjab. He started his career as a legal practitioner in Hisar. In 1892, he shifted to Lahore and gradually established himself as one of the most foremost lawyers over there. He was an educationist and a forceful writer. He went to a Congress delegation in England. From there, he proceeded to America, where he stayed for 5 years. In 1916, he founded the Indian Home Rule League in the United States, and he started a monthly magazine in USA known as the Young India. Now, what was his role or contribution? His role in anti-partition movement and Swadeshi movement. In 1905, Lala Latsputhrai, along with Gokhale, went to England to persuade the British leaders not to give effect to the scheme of Partition of Bengal. During the anti-partition agitation, he called upon men and women to fight repression with full strength. So he went to England along with Gokhale to persuade the English leaders not to give effect to the scheme of the partition. Number 2, he was an assertive nationalist and a brave fighter. In 1907, Lala Latsputhrai and Sardar Ajit Singh were convicted for seditious speeches. Lala Latsputhrai was deported to Mandalay and kept there in the prison for 6 months. Lala Latsputhrai presided over the historic Kolkata session of Congress in 1920. It was in this session the resolution of non-cooperation was adopted by the Congress. Lala Latsputhrai wanted a bolder action, including civil disobedience, yet he supported Gandhiji's proposal and spread the messages of non-cooperation throughout India. Formation of Swaraj Party and later the Nationalist Party and his entry in the National Central Legislative Assembly. Suspension of non-cooperation movement in 1922 disappointed many congressmen, including Lala Latsputhrai. They formed the Swaraj Party to contest elections to the Legislative Councils in 1923. Latsputhrai was elected to the Central Legislative Assembly and in 1925 became a deputy leader of the party. Later he joined hands with Pandit Madan Mohan Malviya in forming the Nationalist Party. This party achieved significant electoral success in 1926 and Lala Latsputhrai got elected to the Central Legislative Assembly. Now, demonstration against Simon Commission. While leading a demonstration against the Simon Commission in Lahore on 30th October 1928, Lala Latsputhrai was assaulted by a British sergeant. He sustained injuries from which he could not recover, and on 17th October in 1928 he passed away. The news of his death was a signal for mourning in almost every household. Lalaji's valor endeared him and he was known as Sher-e-Punjab, that means the Lion of Punjab. Lala Latsputhrai was a born fighter. He had a genuine love for the masses and suffering for the people. Perhaps he was the first Indian leader to have written about the problems of socialism and labor organization. His knowledge of Indian politics, Indian society, and Indian economy was remarkable indeed. So, with this, we come to the end of this chapter of Partition of Bengal and other developments. So, go through the chapter, and I hope this chapter will be clear to you. In the next class, we will start with the next chapter, which is the factors leading to the formation of the Muslim League, and we will revise it. Thank you for today.